Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I don't know what day it is, really, honestly. I don't. I'm all over the place. Haven't got a clue. And I'm very much going to blame perimenopause for that. Today, I am back with another Instagram Live, and I am being joined by Jo Harley, who is the co-founder of, I hope I pronounce this right, Korero. And if not, she'll correct me shortly, I'm sure. So I'm gonna, let's just see if I can add Jo now while I keep waffling. And so we're here today to chat. Invite sent, Jo. I can see that you're online, which is a great start. And she's joined. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Not too bad. First time being live on Instagram, so that's a new thing.
We love new things. push ourselves out of those comfort zones.
Exactly.
How did I pronounce Korero right?
You
Is it
did
Korero?
pronounce it right. It is Korero, which is a technology solution, which really the whole idea behind it is to help organisations be better places to work. And so Korero sort of enables managers to have meaningful, robust conversations with people about their careers, their performance, give them feedback, but also about their well-being and really just understand what's going on with people, but in a bit more of a structured way than just checking in, oh, hi, how are you? Or the normal one-to-ones, which get taken away by sort of operational stuff. So yeah,
Fantastic.
that's
And
what
I'm
Korero does.
assuming that perimenopause and the menopause very much fits under that well-being piece, does it?
Yeah, definitely. And I've also got another business, Hendrick and Hyde, which is an employee engagement consultancy. So again, helping organisations be great places to work by understanding what their purpose is, what their values are, what the behaviours that underpin them. And we also run a couple of surveys, best places to work in hospitality and best workplaces in travel. And interestingly, what comes out of all our surveying, all our diagnostics is that, well, the most important thing to people about coming to work in the industries I work in is working for a company that cares about them, and working within a positive environment and balance, getting that work-life balance right. So yeah, it does come up because more and more women are in the workplace in their late 40s and early
Yeah,
50s now than ever before, right? Like
absolutely. So what kind
my
of industries do you work with, or is it quite widespread?
mainly hospitality, travel, service industries
Yeah.
really. So frontline stuff, but we do have logistics, recruitment. We've done some work with law firm. So yeah, quite a wide spread. And mainly the organisations that really get it, that really want to understand how they can, I suppose, make sure that people feel like they're being looked after,
Excellent.
feel
Yeah.
like they're cared for. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's great. That
easier
sounds
said than
amazing.
done.
Yeah, I can imagine. And what sort of size are your two businesses? Like, is it just you, yourself, and
Tiny.
I, or?
Yeah, so Korero, I've got two tech co-founders, and Emily. And Emily is the VA from heaven. She's amazing. She does everything project management. Um, yeah, she sort of sorts my life out. She's on holiday at the moment, and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, and we did have some more tech resource, but actually we've started using a bit more AI now, and we can manage things through that. And then the consultancy is myself and a woman called Jane Sunley, who I've worked with for 25 years now. And then we also work with lots of different associates and partners and sort
Yeah.
of build solutions for businesses as they need them. I think one of the biggest things for me is about individualization. So all about, what works for this particular business isn't going to work for this one. Where are people on their journeys, their
Yeah.
evolutions? And it's the same for people as well.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds great. Oh, it sounds really interesting. So,
Yeah,
obviously, we're here today to talk perimenopause. And
we
thank you,
are.
firstly, for being like open to talking about it, because I know
Yeah.
it is a subject that still some people struggle to talk about, and
Okay.
especially like publicly.
Yeah.
So thank you for putting yourself sort of
Pleasure.
forward to do that. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about what your perimenopause journey has looked like so far? At what point did you kind of
Yeah.
go, oh, I think I might be perimenopausal?
Certainly for me, I've always suffered with something called PMDD,
Mhm.
which is quite debilitating postmenstrual PMT, really. So always I was very, very aware of my cycle
Yeah.
and very aware that in the sort of the 10 days leading up to my period that I would always, that things would always feel too much. I liken it to almost like if you have any kind of resilience, that resilience layer just slipping away in those 10 days and just not being able to cope. And that fluctuated. I've got two children, and it was bad before I had children. I had my daughter when I was 38, so quite a late mum. And I was on medication before for the PMDD. So I've always had hormonal dips. And then and everything was fine. I came off the medication, fell pregnant, and it sort of sorted itself out. And, I'd have monthly fluctuations, but it would be fine. I had my son 3 years later, at just before I was 41. And again, sort of fine. And then I think it must have been in about 2020, it was in 2020 actually. I just remember, obviously, we had there was external stuff going on as well.
Yeah.
But I remember just feeling like, oh my God, this has come back again, the PMDD. Like I'm
Yeah.
feeling like I can't cope before I have my period. However, at the same time, I'd been quite regular. My periods became more erratic.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I went and spoke to a hormone specialist, actually the Newson Clinic, before she became more famous as she is. I researched hormone, hormone doctors, and they put me on HRT then. Um, so I think it was probably around the same age as a lot of women are finding it now, but 6 years ago, it probably wasn't as likely, sort of in your mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
I'm 52 now. So,
I mean,
yeah,
shut
so
up, you're not 52.
yeah,
Do not look it at
thank
all.
you. Um, so, yeah, so I've been on HRT for about 6 years. And I think it made such a difference. But for me, it's always the, even when it happens now, it's always the mental, not the physical stuff. Like I've never had hot flashes. Um, I always used to have some sleepless nights in my cycle, so now that's a bit more erratic. But for me, it's the way that I feel, like
Yeah.
the anxiety, the brain fog, and even like now, I'm probably in that point where I'm coming to the end of perimenopause and
Yeah.
more into the can't quite remember the last time I had a
Actual
period. When was
menopause.
that? Yeah. And then I'll have one. I'll be like, okay, that's another 12 months before now I can
Yeah.
say I'm menopausal. But like this week, it's quite timely. This week is that I've sort of been fine for a little while. Have, just been taking my HRT,
Yeah.
getting on with stuff. I keep quite fit and healthy. I go to the gym. I eat quite well. I don't drink. That's another thing we'll come on to about perimenopause. But like this week, the brain fog, my whole body feels completely heavy. I feel really teary, like anything could
Yeah.
set me off, super sensitive and anxious.
Yeah.
And it's really, and I know it's hormonal. I can feel it's
Yeah.
hormonal. But if anybody says to me, and it's your hormones, I'd probably slap them. So I was like, this feels real right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that is sometimes not disregarded, but the whole, okay, I know it's my hormones, but I can't actually physically do anything about it.
Yeah.
I know it will pass, and that makes it easier. But when you're in it, it still feels awful. I had a meeting
Yeah.
yesterday, and bless them, it was 5 women on the call. And it was like a sales, it was a new business call. And at one point I said, I've just got to say to you, I'm usually way more articulate than this. I just can't. Like if I had to go and do a big
Yeah.
presentation on the stage today, it's almost like my brain sort of knows what it wants to say, but I can't get
No,
it out of my mouth.
I totally hear you. I think I said to somebody the other day on one of these, it's like I've always had this mental filing cabinet that I can sift my way
Mm,
through when when I do forget a word, and I can normally find it. But during perimenopause, there's nothing. It's just blank.
yeah,
There's a filing cabinet, but there's no files.
yeah. Well, the files are somewhere. You
Yeah,
know they're somewhere, but you just
I
can't
can't
access
locate
them.
them. It's
Yeah,
awful, but I
it's
love that. And I was
such a
gonna
good
say to
feeling.
you, like, obviously you were on a call with women, so it potentially is slightly easier to be
Mm.
open about how you're feeling, particularly if those women are of a certain age as well. Had that been slightly different and there'd have been men on the call, do you think you'd have still been as open and honest about it?
That's a really good question. Um, I think so, because my two co-founders are both male, both considerably younger than I am, and they know. Like, I talk to them a lot about it. I'm like, okay, we do a stand up in the morning on Slack, and I'll say, oh, I'm really hormonal. Be gentle with me today. Um, would I have said it if it was? I don't know, actually. That is a really
Mm,
good question. I felt comfortable in the space.
yeah,
We'd been talking for an hour or so.
yeah,
We were asking questions. I didn't jump straight in and go, by the way, I'm going to be
yeah,
shit today. Um, and I do a thing now with AI where I, I record it for my own purposes,
yeah,
like nobody else's, doesn't go anywhere, but just to critique me.
yeah.
And it tells me, like, and it's like, oh, you're a bit overcompensating, you're a bit this. And I'm like, but you don't get AI, you don't get the context of
Yeah,
this particular
yeah,
situation. Um, so yeah, I think I am quite open about it. I mean, I've been on stage before. I was in Manchester, and I think this was years ago, actually. And I was halfway through a sentence and I totally forgot it. And I will say, I'll be like, oh, menopause moment,
yeah,
really sorry about that. Totally forgotten what I'm going to say, because I prefer just to call it out and say it
yeah,
how it is. 50% of the population is going to go through this. Like, why don't we, like, why shouldn't we
absolutely.
talk about it?
Yeah,
And we are, I think, the first generation. I'm generalizing, obviously, but my mum gave up when my mum had me. She wasn't allowed to work when she got pregnant. Like, there was no concept of maternity leave, no concept of going back to work. And her generation, I think I was probably aware of her going through menopause. I remember her losing a lot of weight at one point. I remember her leaving her job, actually. And I'll go back and say, Mum, do you think that was because of menopause? And she'd
yeah,
be like, no, 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 that was just that particular thing and that particular situation. And maybe it was, but when you look at the statistics of the number of women that consider leaving their job or don't feel like they're good enough anymore or having
yeah.
that crisis of confidence, uh, and it's not them, it's completely out of their control. It's a chemical in your
Absolutely.
brain that is doing different things.
Yeah, or even suffering from burnout. So I had Helen Rimmer
Yeah.
join me recently, and she's a burnout coach.
Mm.
And I sort of said to her, "Is there a sort of no, I'm forgetting the word, but is there like a
Correlation.
correlation
Yes.
between perimenopause and people suffering with burnout?" And she was like,
Mm.
"Absolutely, it's such a
Yeah.
common age for people to start experiencing that." And yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that, that I touch on, because I left having children till fairly late. So yeah, I was 38 and 41. And then, and now, I'm noticing my parents are getting older, and I don't have a close support. I have some amazing
Yeah,
friends, and my kids have got a godmum live nearby, but I don't have, like, the family support, if you like.
yes,
They're older, their dad's parents passed away.
yeah,
So, we've gone through, whilst having very young children, we've gone through, like, losing his two parents,
yeah,
mine now getting older, feeling like we can't rely on them for childcare or to help us out. Now it's our turn to help them out.
yeah,
Whereas my grandpa only passed away a couple of years ago.
yeah.
My mum was a child until she was in her 70s. which again is quite unusual, but being that sort of that sandwich generation of working full time, having children,
Yeah.
and having parents that you're conscious are sort of getting a bit older. I think again that adds to this sort of pressure cooker, this
Absolutely.
pot of
And I
things.
get that. Again, you know, I'm luckily still have my granddad, although
Yeah.
he's quite unwell at the moment.
Oh, bless him.
But you know, you're kind of watching your own parents having to deal with aging parents whilst you're
Yeah.
also dealing with parents who are getting older. And I don't have children in the mix, so I
Yeah.
count myself, I don't know if I
And
should say
lucky,
this
I
out
would
loud, but I
say.
count myself quite lucky that I don't have to worry about them. I just have myself and those sort of like elders to worry about. But it's really, really tricky, isn't it?
Yeah. And so,
And how old are
in,
your kids? Sorry, how old are they now?
so Sienna is 14 and Sebi, my youngest, is 11, nearly
Gosh.
12. So
And
at
they're
an
ages where
age,
they're going through a lot of change themselves.
yeah, and my son's neurodiverse, so he's severely dyslexic. And so that brings challenges. So there's that whole, you know, this week, honestly, you know, and don't get me wrong, it's a pleasure doing this because we're talking about this very subject. But if I could just get into bed, curl up and cancel
Yeah,
everything this week, I would, but I can't. You know, I've got a job to do. I've got kids that need picking up and running around.
yeah.
You know, I do need to call my mum. Sorry, mum. Because she messaged me the other day and I haven't called her back yet. You know, there's consistent stuff that just needs dealing
Yeah,
with. And usually I can handle that, like I
yeah,
can. But yeah, sometimes I just
yeah.
don't want to. And that I
No.
know it's the hormones.
I get it. And again, I'm so grateful like that you have joined me today. But I had a very similar conversation with a friend literally 10 minutes before we came online. And I went for a run this morning. So I don't know
Yeah.
whether that's tired me out, but I'm also due on this weekend.
Yes.
Because again, I'm still quite regular, but I'm just exhausted. I
Yeah.
had last week off, but this
Yeah.
week I just want to curl up and go for a nap.
Exactly. You know, and that's crazy. And you know, whenever did you ever admit that in the
Yeah.
workplace? You know, it's just, and even now, look, I'm incredibly lucky. You know, I don't, but I could if I wanted to. You know, if I felt that bad, I could easily, yeah, go and have a lie down or
Yeah, you
whatever
can
that
factor
looks
that into your
like.
day, right?
But most people can't, right?
Yeah.
Certainly, my clients. You
Yeah.
know, when you're in hospitality front facing, you've got to be on, right, the
Yeah.
whole time. And so I think understanding, from an employer perspective, understanding that somebody is going through this and what their individual needs are, and that they might just want to, you know, go and have a quiet 5 minutes, or they don't want to go chat the whole time. You know, I think
Absolutely.
that's really important to
Yeah,
sort of take into account and just keep
definitely.
talking about it and making it something that is discussed. You know, some people don't have any symptoms at all, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind if in a, you know, in the right environment,
Yeah,
your manager sort of said, oh, you know, menopause something that's affecting you right now? Is that something you're worried
absolutely.
about? You know, it's just bringing it into the conversation,
Yeah.
and not being scared to talk about it.
And I know you saw the post that I put out about trying to get I'd love still to get a man's perspective on this, but potentially who has brought
Yes.
policies into a business. But there seemed to be a massive reluctance for men to actually come on and talk about it.
That's really funny. I do think I tagged somebody in, I think, to your
You
post.
did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the conversation like it didn't continue, but I will
Okay.
perhaps send another little reminder
Yeah.
because I would love to just get a man's perspective, and you know, particularly if they've been instrumental in getting policies, putting the policies in place in a workplace. Because
Yeah.
obviously, this series I am targeting the self-employed and freelancers, etc.
Mm.
But yeah, I'd really like to get that perspective because I think it's important. You know, it's great sitting here talking to women who are actually going through it,
Yes.
and,
But what
and
about,
that's you know that's the
yeah.
whole purpose of this is to get more people talking about it. But yeah, it's the male allies I want to speak to.
Yeah, the person that I tagged you into, he's like, so good on the, and he's worked, works in big corporates, but really, really good and supportive on the
Yeah,
DNI sort of
love that.
agenda.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll follow it
he,
up. I'll give him another nudge.
yeah, no, you should, because I think he'd be really interesting to talk
Mm.
to. And, he's a young man. And I think it would be really interesting. It's funny, isn't it? It's like people have an interest in things that they're experiencing and
Yeah,
they're going through, or their partners are going through.
yeah,
So it'd be really interesting to get a younger person's perspective on it as well.
yeah,
Because I'm sure when I was in my 20s, if someone mentioned menopause, I'd just be like, what are you going on
yeah,
about?
absolutely.
And I don't know whether, like Davina, Louise
Yeah,
Newson, a lot of stuff in the press, I don't know whether that's, and just social media in general, I don't know whether that's really, helped awareness with the whole population, or whether I'm just in a bubble because I'm
that's
going through it.
exactly how I feel, because as well I target, well, a lot of the businesses I work with are in the health, well-being and leisure sectors, so they're
Yes.
already engaged with the subject. A lot of the
Yeah.
other, because I work with small businesses and other entrepreneurs, a lot of them are female of this age. So yes,
Yes.
we're talking about it, they're talking about it to their clients. So I sometimes lose a bit of perspective.
Mm.
Is this, am I seeing all of this because it's in my bubble? Is everyone
Yeah.
else seeing it? It's a great question.
Yeah.
But yeah, because from where I'm sitting, there is a lot of great work being done. I had a
Yes.
conversation right back at the beginning of the series with Jenny Holiday, who's actually coming back on next week. We have a
Oh,
few tech
fun.
issues, so we're going live again. And that was tech and not perimenopause related. But we were talking, oh, see, now it's gone. Where was I going with that?
About being in the bubble.
Yes, so we were talking about, thank you, we were talking about
Sorry.
menopause influencers. So there's a lot of people out there
Ah,
who are talking about it,
yes.
but actually, how many of them are talking factually about it? And some are
Yeah.
just jumping on the bandwagon. There's a lot of companies out there selling products who are jumping on the bandwagon. So at what
Yeah.
point do you go, actually, I trust this individual enough to believe what they're saying?
Yeah. And look, every journey is different, right? Like, what will work for me doesn't work for someone else. And I don't know if you've ever come across or read the book Fast Like a Girl,
No.
which is all around eating around your hormones. Because if you look at male hormones, they fluctuate, but they're fairly flat, or they fluctuate within a day, I think. Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not the expert, go and look it up. Um, but females obviously go over the month, and it's about like this week that you're in. Do you know what? You're probably are craving sort of more carbohydrate heavy
Yeah.
foods. And it's almost, this book is sort of saying go with it,
Mm.
like go with it, with exercise, with food, with everything you're doing, especially when you know your cycle. Gets a bit more
Yeah.
tricky now when you don't, but
Yeah.
it's still secular in some respects,
Yeah.
even though you don't actually have a period. Like listen to your body, because what works for Davina isn't going to work for me,
Yeah.
and her cycle will be different to mine. So I'm not going to go on and go, that's what she's doing today, I should
Yeah.
do that. I'm going to think, well, actually, what's my body saying to me today? Trust your body. And if my body's saying, Joe, do you know what? Eat a cake.
Yeah.
Like it's all right. Then I will listen to that. And
Yeah.
by the same token, for me with the PMDD, I used to come on, and then it's almost literally like within hours, a black cloud would just
Yeah.
disappear. And suddenly I'd be like, right, I'm on it. I'm in the
Yeah.
gym. I'm exercising. I'm eating healthy. I have a new zest for life. And when you know that, you can utilize it. So it's about
Absolutely.
like knowledge is power, right? When it comes to stuff like that.
So on that then,
Mm,
you're obviously very, you're very aware of your cycle and the things
yeah.
that go around that. So are you able to plan your work around that as well? Do you make a conscious effort to plan your work around
I
that?
used to,
Mm.
not so much anymore because my cycle's gone
Yeah.
crazy, which is why I struggle with menopause. Because I'm waiting for the day every time I get a period now. I'm like, oh my god, that's another year now before I
Yeah.
can officially say I'm done. Um, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, I think. But yes, when I was suffering with my hormones before, if I, like Jane, who I worked with, I'd often say to her, do you mind just taking this
Yeah.
presentation? Or, by the way, I'm probably not going to say as much today, I'll just listen. And she was amazing with it. I have been very lucky with the people that I've worked with in
Yeah.
terms of being able to share these things. But it's like anything, to get the best out of me, because I'll appreciate that. And then next week when I'm on it, I'll be like working all hours,
Yeah.
and I'll be remembering that actually it was okay just to take it a bit easy in the week you're in right
Yeah.
now, right? That's like, let yourself do that, because that next week it's going to be like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm back in the
Back
game.
on it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I'm glad you've basically just given me permission to go out and eat cake,
I have.
because
And have a nap. Eat
and have a
cake,
nap.
have a nap. Winning.
Because do you know what? I've just started. I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight, so I've taken up running, which I'm loving.
Yes. Oh,
I
cool.
am being more
Yeah.
mindful about what I put in my body,
Yeah.
but on the condition that I still allow myself one piece of cake a week.
There you go.
And I haven't
Today's
really
the
set
day.
myself a day to go and have it. Generally, I save it for
Yeah.
a Friday. But as I came back from my run earlier, I was like, God, I could kill for a piece of
Today's the
cake.
day.
So it might have to be.
I mean, I think it is, but read this book. It's so
Yeah.
interesting on so many levels
And
about
who wrote? Do you know who wrote
understanding.
the book?
Not off the top of my head.
No,
I'll
don't
send
worry.
it to you
But it's
afterwards.
Fast Like a
But
Girl.
first, yeah, Fast Like a Girl, and
Amazing.
is totally about that you should. I think there's actual science behind the fact that you should be putting more calories in your body at this time,
Brilliant.
just because that's how
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
designed.
Yeah. And
Um,
I can, you can feel it, can't you? You can feel it in your body. And I
yeah,
think it's that bit between our bodies and our minds, where our minds are going, yeah, but you want to lose a few pounds. Should you really be putting that in your mouth? But your body's going, oh, please, please.
yeah. Sugar.
Yeah.
Take me some sugar. It's everything in moderation, isn't it? But then next week,
Absolutely.
you might think, do you know what? I'd booked 2 bits of cake last week,
Yeah.
came on,
So I don't
and
need,
actually I'm
yeah.
going to eat salad,
Yeah.
and
Exactly
that's
that.
okay. And that's what
Yeah.
I want now.
Yeah.
So it is, yeah, I think it's really important to just pay attention to what's
Yeah.
going on and understand it. And my
Because if you
daughter,
ultimately, I mean, we should know this from a very young age, but I think we're rubbish at it, as I don't know if it's human beings or as a society. But if we listen to our bodies from day dot, we won't suffer as much with
yeah,
illness and burnout. And we've got to get better at resting. We've got to get better at just listening to what our body is trying to tell us, because it tells us before we know.
yeah. And, what brings you joy? I was looking at something which I knew before, but I was reminded of it yesterday, is that thing that your body, your brain, you strive for something that you think will make you happy, you get
Yeah.
it, but then you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
You don't, it's like there's a lot of research around pay as an incentive. And yes, everybody wants to get paid more, of course they
Mm.
do. But actually, when you pay somebody more, that feeling that, yes, I've done it, yeah, I'm earning more
Yeah.
money, very quickly people start to
Yeah.
live to that, and now they want the next thing.
Absolutely.
Whereas actually, if you think, okay, what is it actually, we think that's going to make us happy, but actually what makes us happy is being in nature, having
Yeah.
human connections, like other things. But we've
Yeah.
programmed ourselves to just think that it's the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and chasing something.
Yeah.
So I think it is, there's I mean, it's so interesting, and I'm not an expert on it at all, but I just find it really interesting, in terms of listening, but also educating
Yeah.
the next generation. Like my mum taught me like loads, like everything I need to know, but we never really talked about hormone fluctuations.
Yeah.
I was just moody. I was the moody one because I wasn't consistent.
Mm.
And that, I was talking to someone yesterday about the sort of the good girl syndrome, that
Yes.
having to be compliant and doing what's expected, and it not being okay, probably because it didn't make my parents feel
Yeah.
comfortable to lie on the floor and bash my arms and sob because something wasn't going my way that week. It wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I really recognized, and probably was a part of, I was married and then divorced, and probably a part of my divorce is that I thought I wasn't happy in my relationship, but actually I just wasn't happy for a couple of
Yeah.
weeks every month.
Yeah.
And it was only after that relationship that I realized that it was a me problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Oh,
was,
that's,
you're so
oh,
hormone
yeah,
based.
absolutely. Couple of questions.
Yes.
How did you, when, at what point did you get a formal diagnosis for the PMDD?
In my late 20s. So it was, yeah, as I was going through my divorce, I was finding it really, really
Mm.
difficult. And I went to the doctor and we did a lot of questionnaires and stuff. And actually, it's one of those things. And I did end up taking SSRIs for a while to stable me out at a very low dose.
Yeah.
But it was never consistent. So there would always be some weeks where I'd be just absolutely how I expect myself to be, how I think of myself. And then just that 10 days
Yeah.
before my period or so. But it was only when I went to see that doctor and she picked up on it and she's like, so it's not all the time. I was like, no, it just seems to be sometimes. She was like, okay, go away, write it down, come back to me. And I came back to her and I was like, oh my God, it's
Yeah.
literally for the same sort of 10 days,
Cycle,
2 weeks
yeah.
every month. And she was like, okay, this is what we're looking at. You're not
Yeah.
depressed, you're not anxious, you're
Yeah.
not all the things, but I do think this is what it is. And so she did that and then carried on taking them until I fell pregnant. And then it very quickly came off because you can't take them when you're pregnant. But
Right.
actually, my pregnancies, don't get me wrong, I did have the odd bobble,
Yeah.
but my pregnancies were really nice because I didn't have that consistent fluctuation, which,
Amazing.
yeah, and in that respect, I cannot wait to be menopausal. Like, I
Yeah.
cannot wait to just have some sense of hormone regulation.
Yeah.
Like, an HRT has helped, don't get me wrong, but yeah, just this, and also not quite knowing when it's going to hit me at the moment.
Yeah.
That's a bit challenging.
The HRT is an interesting one because near enough every woman I've spoken to through this series is on HRT.
Mm,
And I remember when my mum was going through menopause, she was fairly open with us. So my mum's she's in her early 70s now.
yeah,
And I do remember her being quite open and honest with how she was feeling in terms of like if she was having hot flushes. But again, it was
yeah,
it was just kind of mood swings and hot flushes for her. There was nothing else that really factored
yeah,
into it, or she didn't put two and two together and go, oh yeah, that's also because of perimenopause. And yet again, I've forgotten where I was going with that story. Where
talking
would I
about
go?
with your mum. Oh, HRT.
Yeah, so back then there was a bit of a stigma, wasn't there,
Yes.
around taking HRT, but
Yeah.
that seems to be disappearing.
I think it's because I think there was a big thing made of one
Yeah,
particular case and
yeah.
one study, which actually didn't have that many people in from my
Right.
recollection,
Okay.
but also because the hormones are bioidentical now. So
Right.
it's different technology, I think,
Yeah.
which shows. But also, again, when human beings, I always go back to when human beings were designed, like, it's only because of modern medicine that we're all living to sort of 50, 60,
Yeah.
70. It used to be that we pretty much all be on our last legs by now, not rediscovering our next moment
Yeah.
in life. So, if you think I'm, 50 now, and I would love to think that I'm going to live for another, 30 or 40
Yeah.
years, why wouldn't I want to put in some of the stuff that my body
Yeah.
isn't producing naturally?
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's just, that's how I see it. It's like my body has stopped having the ability to produce these hormones itself, so I'm just giving it a helping hand. And yeah, I'm a huge advocate for it if it makes you
Yeah.
feel better, if it's right for you. um
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I've heard so many similar stories. So that's fantastic. And yeah, things change, don't they? And we kind of need to make sure that our mindsets and stuff change with it.
yeah, definitely. And and to be fair, my mum has been on it now, so she'll be 76 this year, and she's been on it since she was 50, I think. Her
Yeah.
eyes literally just dried up, like,
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, random.
Wow.
And yeah, so she went on it, and she's still on it, and
Yes.
she's thriving. She's
Yeah.
great for her. Yeah, and there is a lot to be said now. I always think, it used to be, I used to do exercise and try and watch what I eat or whatever, all that stuff. And I used to do that because, you make your summer body in the winter. And now I'm like, no, that stopped. That stopped about
Yeah.
6 years ago. Now, everything I'm doing now is for my old lady body.
Yes.
Everything is like bone strength and
Yeah.
flexibility. And I want to be able to open a jar of jam when
Yeah.
I'm in my late
Yeah.
70s. And there's tests. I don't know if you've ever done the test, but like, I think at 50, you should be able to be sitting on a seat like I am now, and then just stand up on one
Oh,
leg, just using one leg, and sit back down. And if you can't do that, it's things like
that's
that. If you look
great.
at what are the tests of things that you should be able to
Yeah.
do at a certain age to make sure that when you get older,
You'll be
you're
okay.
going to be able to get your own shopping
Brilliant.
or
So do you
stuff like that.
do strength training? Is that part of
Mm.
your, yeah?
Yeah, I used to only run.
Yeah.
I started running in 2019, and yeah, just the whole world and the internet was like,
Yeah.
you need strength training.
Yeah.
So 18 months ago, I joined a gym, and again, it fits in with me. They do a
Yeah.
class at 6 o'clock every morning, and I'm
Brilliant.
one of
Early
them
birds.
people. I don't necessarily bounce out of bed, but if I don't do it at 6 o'clock in the morning, it
Yeah.
will not get done. I'll tell you that, because by 9 o'clock, God forbid if you want anything from me.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like I'm easing myself in with, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like I've ever just sat here on my backside doing nothing. I've been a
Yeah.
massively keen hiker for years, but
Oh,
I
cool.
used to convince myself
Same.
that hiking was enough. And yeah, it's still good for you, but
Mm.
you're not really elevating your heart rate.
That said, and again, research it. I'm not an authority, but now when I run, like I feel like, is this really the best thing for my body?
Mm,
Um, because walking on weights for
yeah,
women sort of
yeah,
50 plus, that is supposed to be much better.
yeah,
Because I run with some of my neighbours, and I enjoy it, and we chat, and it's like a bit of a therapy session. And when and we were like, oh my god, should we still be doing it? And we do it because we like it. But
yeah,
actually, it would be better for us to walk the same distance. But we're like, well, I can't
yeah.
fit that in. I can only,
No. And
it
for
takes an
me
hour to
personally,
walk
I
one.
need the dopamine hit, and I don't get the
Exactly,
dopamine hit
from
from the
walking.
walking, even if because
Same with me.
I'm going out for a hike at the weekend doing 18 kilometers, but I
Wow.
won't get the dopamine hit that I get from
Yeah,
going for a 30-minute run.
exactly. That's
But
it.
what my next stage is also going, right, well, I want to run 3 times a week, but then what does that strength training look like? How do
Yes,
I incorporate that into my
that
week
into
so
it.
that I feel like the running helps from the mental side of things, but
Yeah,
then I need the strength training for the physical side of things. So it's just
exactly. And
balancing it
that's
all.
that's the reason that I started with the gym as well, was to help me with the
Yeah.
anxiety. I come through the door at 7 o'clock, and we have a really hectic half hour between 7 and 7:35, getting both the kids out the
Yeah.
doors, various buses and schools. And that sort of being able to walk back in, having just been to the gym, and being, don't get me wrong, I'm not always in a good mood, but
Yeah.
I'm way, way better than on the odd occasion I don't go. I'm awful.
Yeah.
Like, and I just think it just sets me up for the day in turn.
Definitely.
And again, it's functional fitness, so it's a bit of cardio and a bit of weights.
Yeah.
So it sort of
Love
does
that.
both. But yeah, it is the whatever happens when you exercise to make you feel good.
Yeah, it's the dopamine, it's the endorphins, it's just everything. I just, yeah,
Yeah.
never knew at 42 that I could I'll discover a love for running, but there we go, we've done
Yeah. No,
it.
I did as well. So yeah, when was that? 2019? I can't work it out. I can't do
Yeah.
maths, but yeah. Yeah, I did later in life as well. It's really
Yeah,
weird. I was always
brilliant.
one of those
Yeah.
people that was like, I can't run. Like I
Yeah.
can never run. But yeah,
I used
and
to
then you
get
do.
bored of running, and then
Yeah.
I've done it this time through the Couch to 5K app, which I
Yes.
found was a complete game changer.
Yes, I did that as well,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's just, yeah, I've graduated now, and I'm just keep on running. So
Yay! Keep going. Keep going. I ended up I ended up I've done a couple of half marathons now as well.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple of 10K. So I did
Brilliant.
5K, then I did
Yeah.
a 10K, and there, yeah. And I haven't quite got to a full marathon, but I don't know if I will. I
Go
don't
on, you've
know.
got it in you.
I don't know if I have. I don't know if my body can handle it. I've got a bit of a, I've got a, I had a knee injury. And so
Oh,
I had
okay.
my anterior cruciate ligament
Mm,
replaced when I was younger. I was 19 and they said it would last probably about 15 years. And we're going
right.
on like much longer than that now, 30 odd years on it.
Yeah.
So I do have to be a bit careful
maybe
with it.
maybe
But
don't push it too much
maybe
then,
not.
because
But
you
yeah,
don't want to get to that point where you've either got to have it done again and then that sets you
yeah,
back, doesn't it, because you've got to
exactly.
rest. So yeah, vicious cycle. Before we wrap up, Joe, I just wanted
Yes.
to come back on, you mentioned alcohol right back at the beginning.
Oh God,
Talk
yeah,
to
that's
me
my
about
biggest thing.
that.
Yeah. So I used to be. I mean, I used to run pubs, and then I worked for Bacardi Martini, and then like in hospitality, the networking is mainly drinking
Yeah.
and going out for nice lunches, and yeah, a lot of booze involved. And also, I've got a really good group of girlfriends, and we go away every year on holiday, and it's pretty messy, like, and we've been doing that. I've been doing that with one of my friends since we were in our early 20s, so that's a lot of years of going away and dancing on
Yeah.
tables. And yeah, again, it crept up. I just found that like I couldn't tolerate alcohol in the same way, and it's got to the point now where if I have a drink, I almost feel hungover immediately.
Wow.
Um, and so, yeah, I've pretty much stopped.
Yeah.
Um, on the odd occasion, I mean, I'll never say never. I
Yeah.
might go back to it. It, but it just doesn't make me feel. It just doesn't give
Yeah.
me the thing that it used to give me by drinking. And yeah, I mean, I was a party girl. Saying that, I still act like I've been to Ibiza with the girls on a hen do. I've been to Portugal. I've been out. I've been to sort of but like
Yeah.
Southport Weekender, which
Yeah.
is sort of big sort of um music sort of stuff. And so I go to all those things
Yeah.
still, but I just don't drink when I'm there.
Yeah.
Um and
That's
if I do, every now and again I get lured in by the first glass of rosé thought, I mean it's summer, that
yeah.
feeling of anticipation of anything could happen, or let's have a drink. And sometimes I do. I'd say the last couple of times I did, I've instantly regretted it.
Yeah. That's
But
interesting.
that's
And
not
do
to
you
say I
think
won't.
has stopping drinking has that is
Yeah.
not the correct English, but you know what I mean. Has
Yeah.
that had an impact on, do you think, perimenopause? I mean, I presume potentially what you're saying is perimenopause is might have been what made you feel worse.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
it's the only thing I can attribute it to. And I have heard other people have the same reaction. So yeah, I do think it's something to do
Wow.
with that for some reason or
Yeah.
another. I mean, I haven't looked into it massively. I've just sort of accepted that that's the
Yeah.
way it is now.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a really
yeah,
interesting
it's
one,
really
though.
weird.
I'll be keen to find out more on that for sure. There's a sober coach actually who I know, so it'd be interesting to pick her
Mm,
brain on it.
yeah.
But I mean, I'm a non-drinker now as well,
Yeah. Oh,
and
interesting.
I don't. There's a couple of things that made me stop, but similar to
Mm,
you, I don't say that I'm sober, because I know that if I was at a wedding or a christening, I would still have a glass of prosecco, because
yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
But I don't drink,
Mm.
But again, I went to a soul weekender recently at
Ah,
one of those holiday resorts,
yeah.
and had a brilliant time and didn't touch a drop.
Yeah.
Everyone else around me was pissed as a fart, but
Yeah.
it was great
Exactly.
fun just watching them.
Yeah, I'm really cool with that. I mean, we before Towie went there. So this is how long ago? This is before Towie, or just as Towie came on the screens. I used to go. Me and my friends used to go to Port Benus. We used to go to my bet, like that
Yeah,
area,
yeah.
and I went there. Like I went there pregnant because I didn't want to miss out. So I'm sort of used to that thing, and I'm quite I'm quite good at sort of getting to the point when everybody just gets so drunk and they
Yeah,
start getting to the point where they're literally falling on you, or like saying the same thing. And I'll just be like, right, I'm just going to take myself off
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
and that's fine, you
Yeah.
know. And I think people are way more accepting of it. I
Yeah.
think in when we were growing up, I think not drinking, it was like, oh my God, you're so boring,
Yeah.
or don't be an idiot, come
Yeah.
on, have a drink. Whereas I think people now are just like, you do you, as long as you're
Yeah.
not being a mood killer, which I hope I'm not, then
Yeah.
go for it, you know.
Absolutely. And I agree. And actually, funnily enough, and I hope you won't mind me saying this, but actually, the person that's put the most pressure on me to have a drink, go on, you'll enjoy it, is my dad.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not been my peers that I've had the pressure from.
Yeah.
It was my parents.
Yeah.
Because for
That's
them, it's,
funny.
well, why wouldn't you have a drink,
Yeah, that's what you did. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you do.
Yeah.
And it's different, isn't it? The generations, when I look at the hospitality industry, and you can see that the sort of what businesses are doing to attract the 18 to 25-year
Yeah.
market is so much different now. There's so much more experiential stuff. It's much more about quality necessarily over
Yeah.
quantity. And
Yeah.
that's not to say that the next generation isn't going out and drinking, but there has been a sharp decline in it.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's come at the right time where it's more socially acceptable at the point in
Absolutely.
which I just can't anyway. And
Yeah.
I do not miss the hangovers. I
No.
used to suffer from hangovers. Like my hangovers used to be horrific. And I haven't got time to have a hangover now.
No.
Like
There's too much
it's like,
lifing to be done.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, just to finish off the chat on alcohol, I think the non-alcoholic substitutes are so much better
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've cut down because of the calorie content, but the Guinness Zero and the non-alcoholic beers,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
even some of the wines that they're bringing out that have got zero alcohol in, they're so good.
Yeah.
Um,
I've never been a massive fan of the taste, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like I've
yeah,
usually drunk to
yeah.
get
Get
drunk.
drunk.
Apart from some really nice, I'm a big fan of the Soho House spicy margarita, or the Bacante. Was it the Bacante? Or a good spicy margarita, like a good cocktail. I don't think you can beat.
Yeah,
But I tend to, yeah, I tend to just do like an elderflower or soda or
yeah.
something like that.
Kombucha is one of my go-tos. I mean, I
Yeah,
took like a box of kombucha with me to the Soul Weekender, and when we were in
yeah,
the caravan, that's what I was drinking
that's
while
what
they
you
were
do.
getting
Yeah,
this.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
Oh,
funny,
that's
isn't
been
it?
fantastic, Joe. Thank you ever so much. But one
Pleasure.
last question. What's one
Yes.
thing you'd love women to know about navigating perimenopause whilst juggling work and family?
I think that it's okay to call it out and say, actually, today I'm a bit hormonal, or today I'm really struggling, and have the confidence that people will support you on that. Don't
Yeah,
try and judge how other people are going to react to it. Just let them, I
yeah,
suppose, as Mel Robbins would say. Um, yeah, I think just the more people that are honest about it, the more people that talk about it, the more that we can, pave the way for the next generation,
yeah.
and understand and listen to your body, I think,
Love that.
probably.
Perfect. And where can people find you if they want to find out more about you?
I mean, I'm not really on Instagram at all.
And I
Come on,
know
I'll have a
you're
quick
definitely
look.
over on
But
LinkedIn
I am
more.
on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn a lot. Yeah, just Joe. I think it's just Joe Harley. If you search Joe Harley on LinkedIn, I think you'll find me.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
These are all of the episodes, if that's what we're calling them, they'll
Yeah.
get uploaded
Excellent.
onto YouTube and onto my
Ah,
website at
cool.
some point. So I'll make sure that all the links and stuff are put in
Oh
there
yeah.
as
I'll put
well.
I'll
So
put it on. Yeah. I'll put it out
yeah,
on LinkedIn for you.
fabulous. Thank you.
I don't even know where I would start on Instagram, if I'm honest.
Don't worry. At least you made it. That's the main
I know. I mean, tick.
thing. So next Tuesday, I'm going to be chatting to freelance journalist, copywriter, and editor Kerry Allen. We're going to be talking again about brain fog. So it'll be interesting to get her perspective on that as well. But thank you for joining me today, Joe. It's been an
Pleasure.
absolute pleasure, and
Yeah, I've
hope you
loved it.
enjoy the
Thank
rest of your
you.
day and get some rest.
Thank you.
All
Eat
right,
the
take
cake.
care.
Eat the cake.
Yeah, I will.
Go
See
and
you
get it.
later. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.